If you've ever struggled stitching a denim seam or a denim hem because you have to go up and over that really thick area, I'm going to show you a couple tricks and tools that come with this machine that will make life a lot easier. So I'm going to just start off by taking 2 pieces of denim and stitching together with a 5/8 inch seam allowance. Now before I totally get to showing you about the hem, I'm going to show you a little cheat foot. I know a lot of you like to take feet that you have with your machine and use them for other things than they were made for. Who's in? All right, so we're going to take our foot number 3, the blind hem or the overcasting foot, and use it for some top stitching. This little red marker is adjustable, so you can move it left, you can move it right. And what I'm going to do is open up this seam, set that marker in my where the seam came together, move my needle position just a little bit to the left, and then create a beautiful top stitched area. Now this foot is designed to be used with the dual feet, so just keep that all engaged here. I'm going to line this up right in the crevice of that seam, and then with my needle position, I'm going to move it over to the left. Now you don't have to move it all the way over, just enough that you get a nice little distance. Let's do minus 2.0. And then I'm going to just smooth this with my hands as I go down that little edge. And I love how straight this makes me look. Now you could also do this with a triple straight stitch and get even a heavier look, but you can see how nice and even that foot is on that denim seam. And now it lays nice and flat. So I love a good straight top stitching. So I'm going to just go back to a 0A. And remember, a quick way to reset settings is just to reselect stitch number 1, the one you were on. And notice that the settings, I didn't have to go plus, 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 all the way back to the center needle position. So great way to clear it out. Of course, you could turn your machine off too. That always works as well. But what happens when we take our fabric and we start to build this heavier seam and you go up and over this thick area? What happens is usually your foot kind of gets stuck on the way up. Maybe it rolls down too quick, gives you a lot bigger stitches on the flip side here. So the tool, the multi-purpose tool, is great. Now I'm not using a really thick denim here, so I could just go up and over this just by taking and making my stitch length just a little longer, which I'm going to do anyway. So anytime you have thick fabric to work with, instead of pushing your fabric, give the machine some benefit by making the stitch length longer. The machine will then want to pull more fabric in, and you don't have to do the pushing, because when you push, sometimes that's when the needle breaks because it hits the throat plate, and that's no fun. All right, so this is usually called top stitching, and there's a reason it's called top stitching. It's because we sew from the top. It's going to look better. Your stitches on top always look a little smoother, especially when you start going through, like here, there's 9 layers of fabric. When that needle goes down, you do sometimes find that the needle kind of takes a little different path on the way out, a little jig or a jag on its way through there. So if you're sewing from the top, you always have a prettier stitch. So start off by setting the machine to stop at the needle in the down position and get close to where the foot starts to go up that seam. So now it's kind of going up here. So with the multi-purpose tool, you'll notice there's a thin side and a thick side. Since this is not really extra thick, I'm going to use the thinner side. Start by lifting up the presser foot and sliding the foot or the multi-purpose tool up to the seam. And what we're doing is more just leveling the foot so it's nice and even instead of trying to climb that mountain. And you'll see I'm not going to even really touch it. I'm going to just let the foot kind of come up on top of the seam like a plateau, but because it is even, that pressure is going to evenly pull the fabric through even though it's much thicker. It's when I'm coming down now that I can move the tool to be right in front of the needle. So I'm going to stitch into this groove but not through any part of this. So make sure you kind of go a little slow, but you're kind of, again, balancing that foot so it's level and you get nice even stitches over that whole entire area. So when you're done, you have perfect stitching from approach on top and departure, and all because of a multi-purpose tool. Plus, we learned one extra thing about being able to cheat with our overlock foot number 3 for some great top stitching.